Welcome to Dreadful Digest, where we look at your favorite horror novels and rip apart their adaptations. I'm one of your hosts, Tessa Nelson.
I'm Sam.
And guys, I'm so excited and nervous to talk about Clown in a Cornfield.
Why are you nervous?
I'm nervous because of what you have said in terms of like not liking it.
Whoa. Let me get to it, you guys. Hang on.
We might have like completely opposing opinions, maybe.
I want to know what the people think.
Yeah.
I do.
I think it's out of theaters already.
No, I saw it in theaters 2 days ago.
Well, yeah, I did too. Like Wednesday? Did you see it Wednesday?
I saw it on Thursday.
Dang, okay. Well, at least in the county I live in, they don't have it in any more theaters.
And what county's that?
Y'all can figure that one out. So, a little background on this book and movie. I read this a few years ago, and this is my third time reading Clown in a Cornfield. Okay. If you're watching the video version, no.
It's a little clownish.
On the video version, we have another Monchichi.
We should also another Monchichi.
Another Monchichi.
Oh, another.
Because last episode I also had a Monchichi.
We've had a lot of Monchichi.
Yeah. I brought this one just because it's soft and I like squishing it sometimes.
I have a soft thing too, but I don't have it nearby. Next episode, I'll show you guys.
We'll just bring our soft things to the set.
It's like a stuffed animal.
Thanks for clarifying. You're saying
our soft things. It's a stuffed animal. I thought you said nether as in like Minecraft.
Oh my god!
Like nether Monchichi.
Maybe on Etsy somebody made a Minecraft Monchichi,
and it's like a pig. Also, we should say
Monchichi.
another treat for our visual listeners. Listeners, you might love our matching outfits today.
We're matching.
I wish I could say we planned this.
Yeah.
We kind of did plan this in the sense that I saw what you were wearing and I changed.
Yeah.
But
you actually copied me.
That's true. But there was a connection in our minds.
Yeah, there was
for me to pack this outfit,
a psychic link
to change into. Yeah, for sure. Anyway, take your nether Monchichi.
Thank you. So yeah, Clown in a Cornfield. What to say about Clown in a Cornfield? Because this is my third time reading it. I really liked the book.
2020, you read it 3 times?
Yes.
Like once per year? Or like what was going
on?
I
read it around the time it dropped.
Yeah.
And then last year I reread the whole, like the first 2, because there's 3 books in the series. I was preparing like for when the third one was coming out, and I wanted to.
Adam Cesare fan.
Yeah, I've read 4 of his books now.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, we'll get into my thoughts on the sequel books, but yeah, there are 3 books in the series, and he's working on a 4th one. So, needless to say, I was very much looking forward to this movie, and yeah, that's my history with Clown in a Cornfield. Did you know about this before?
No, listen, this is my history with Clown in a Cornfield. I confused it with Crazy Killer Clowns from Outer Space, like the movie from, I don't know, the 70s or 80s or whenever that came out. And I was like, there's a book for this? And so let me tell you, when I opened that, and the intro has them live streaming, I was confused. I was very confused about what I was reading. Yeah. Figured it out pretty quickly that it was a different thing. And then I read the book. Mm-hmm. And then I watched the movie. Mm-hmm. And that's my history.
Nice, nice. Well, I guess we can get into our non-spoiler reviews. Do you want me to go first, or do you want to take it away?
You go first.
Okay. I love the first one, the first book. Love the second book. Have a lot of issues with the third book. So I highly recommend reading the first 2. As for the movie, I did enjoy it. I had a fun time in the theater, but as it kind of has stayed in my head for the past couple days, because I also saw it like a few days ago, that I've kind of taken some issues with the changes a bit. But I think as
like what?
My
Janet
was a huge problem for me. They totally erased a big part of her identity, and we'll definitely get into that. I also think they watered down the political aspects quite a bit in the movie, and it didn't hit me in the theater because I was having fun. It was a humorous movie, but as I got home, I was like, oh my god, wait. And even my mom, because I went to go see it with my mom, and she really liked it. she was like, well, do their parents know that they're dying? And I'm like, yeah, their parents are
That's
the ones.
the premise.
Yeah, I guess that is a spoiler. My bad.
Yeah, from this point
Big
onwards,
spoiler.
yeah, big spoilers.
Yeah.
And while we're talking about spoilers, one thing in the movie is when we find out that Cole and Rust are lovers is so different from the book and such a different experience from the book.
It's a little awkward, I would say.
It's just, it's a different creative decision.
Yeah.
And I would say it's a very creative decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got it.
Go on.
So, needless to say, I did enjoy both the book and the movie, but I think the movie tried to change some things to be more appealing to a general audience, and I don't totally agree with that. So, those are my thoughts on both book and movie so far.
Okay.
I have plenty more.
Yeah. I like how that was the non-spoiler review. It's just spoilers of the entire thing.
I tried to keep it, and then I was like, hold up.
That's crazy. You lure them in, and then you hit their hand when they do. My non-spoiler review is Killer Clowns from Earth.
Mm-hmm.
That was my experience with it.
Not from outer space.
Not from outer space.
Here on
Earth.
Earth.
From Kettle Springs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Okay. Cool. Well, let's jump into the movie, shall we? Here's a little synopsis for you guys if you haven't seen it. I think it is coming out on Shudder soon, within the year.
It's not out yet?
I don't think so. I think it was just a limited theater release. And
Lucky us.
Yeah, so we caught it just in time. So our movie starts off with a cold open in 1991 in the town of Kettle Springs. A group of teenagers, they're partying it up at the old Bay Pin corn syrup factory. And of course, what happens when drugs and alcohol are involved? Sex is also involved.
Wait, we're talking about the movie right now, right?
The movie, yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna be like, this is not what happens in the book.
No, the book has a totally different opening.
Yeah.
Which I also have an issue with. Anyway, so two teens go and sneak off into the nearby cornfield, and oh my god, they get killed by the Bay Pin's mascot, Friendo, which is a creepy clown. Now we're going into the present. Quinn Maybrook and her father Glenn are moving to Kettle Springs, where Glenn is the new town doctor. Following a sporadic detention in her first class, Quinn befriends Cole Hill, the son of the mayor, and his group of friends, including Janet, Matt, Ronnie, and Tucker. In Kettle Springs, they have a Founders Day parade every year, and during this particular Founders Day, Matt causes an accident, and a float ends up being set aflame. And this ultimately ruins the festivities. Sheriff Dunn, he hates these teens. He hates these group of teens so much, and he blames them for sabotaging the parade and ends up putting them in jail for a little bit.
By the way, the dad is played by the father in the Young Sheldon spinoff.
What? Wait, he's
maybe look this
Young
up.
Sheldon's dad. Wait.
No, wait. So you know how there's the Young Sheldon, not Young Sheldon. I keep saying Young Sheldon. So I guess everything is a Big Bang Theory spinoff, right?
Wait,
right?
Young Sheldon. Yeah, that's a Big Bang Theory
spinoff from Sheldon's life.
Yeah.
This show, I forget, something in Mandy. George and Mandy, is that what it is?
Yes.
And
that's
I'm pretty sure
Sheldon's brother.
That's Sheldon's brother?
Georgie? Yeah.
I don't know what I'm talking about, but he's in the Sheldon universe is what I'm trying to say. Sheriff Dunn is in the Sheldon universe, if you're a fan of that.
Okay. Oh, I thought you meant Glenn Maybrook was part of the Sheldon universe.
No.
I thought he
I quite liked Glenn Maybrook.
I did. I think he was a good actor.
He was my favorite part.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he gets cast in many things.
Yeah. And he looked pretty good. That was a weird way of putting it.
Can we get that soundbite?
I was thinking about, more set decorations that I haven't gotten to. I was wanting to print a picture of him and draw like a heart around his face. Didn't get around to doing that.
The board of men that we like in horror,
yes.
The board of men we do not like in horror, Trevor.
Yes, so we'll have it two different graphs here. We'll have one men we love in horror, men we hate in horror.
We're not a sexist podcast. We can also do women.
Okay. Women we hate in horror, women we like in horror.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'll work on it.
Yeah.
So that night, Glenn Maybrook ends up bailing them out of the jail. And how does Quinn repay her dad? Well, she sneaks off with Cole Hill, who her dad hates, to a high school party at an isolated farmhouse.
By the way, her dad hates Cole because he was drinking and driving.
Yeah, it's a valid reasoning for hating.
100%
yeah.
valid.
Yeah, for real. So they're partying it up at the Tillerson farmhouse,
Nice.
and while they're outside, a young girl stumbles out of the cornfield and collapses after being shot with a crossbow. Who did this? Well, none other than Friendo the clown.
Cool.
And then the clown also throws Matt's severed head right at Janny, Roddy, and Quinn. So
True.
now chaos ensues.
Well, first they don't believe it. First they're like, "Oh, this is one of your stupid little pranks."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then they're like, and then Quinn is like, "Wait, how do they realize that it's not a prank?"
Because they feel for her pulse.
Oh yeah,
she doesn't
they
have
feel
one.
her
They're
pulse.
like,
They
"Oh
realize she's
shoot!"
actually dead, and then they're like, "Oh wait, this actual blood on my hands must be actual blood."
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I didn't mention it, but Cole and his friends, they all make like these YouTube videos, these horror YouTube videos, and so they think they're being pranked. So they're running away from these killer clowns. A bunch like appear in the cornfield, and Quinn's neighbor Rust appears, and he shoots Friendo. The group then takes shelter in a nearby shed, and Rust offers to stay behind to detonate a makeshift bomb as the others escape through a sewer grate. So reaching a road, they come across Sheriff Dunn, who immediately arrests Cole, thinking he's being pretty sus. Meanwhile, Glenn is searching for Quinn and notices his doctor's office has been broken into. After investigating, he's kidnapped by a friendo, and that friendo forces him to operate on another friendo. But Glenn, being the man that he is, he soon outwits his captor and escapes.
Did you say being the man that he is?
Yeah.
That's insane. Go on.
So
Tessa loves this movie, you guys.
I love Glenn Maybrook. Going back to the kids in the cornfield. That should be a spinoff.
Kids in the cornfield? That's kind of what the movie is.
Yeah.
It's clowns and kids.
Or a cool band name. Kids in the cornfield.
It's like Children of the Corn, but a little bit older.
Yeah.
Kids. Or it's goats in the cornfield.
Goats in the cornfield?
Well, because it's kids.
Oh, and kids are baby goats.
Yeah. Go on. This is great content.
Yeah.
Go on.
That's what people sign up for. So the kids are running away from clowns, of course, and Ronnie gets eviscerated by a chainsaw. And then Janet and Quinn run to a neighboring house, the Tillerson house, but are then attacked by another friendo. Lots of friendos.
Are we going to mention Cole getting arrested?
I did.
You did?
Uh-huh. He gets arrested by Sheriff Dunn.
Oh, okay. I missed that. I was too distracted thinking about Quinn's dad.
As one does. So yeah, they're Friendo is charging Janet and impales her with a pitchfork. Quinn then takes the pitchfork out of Janet's body and kills Friendo, and then she runs out of the house into a truck. And not knowing how to drive the truck, she gets captured by a bunch of friendos and taken away.
I think I would like a fact check on this. Like, hey, writer of the screenplay for The Clown in Cornfield, let me know about this. But I just want to know, do you drive stick?
Why?
Just curious. Just think it was a really pivotal thing.
It was a very. They did bring it up multiple times,
and I'm like, I'd like to know.
I think it's only mentioned like once in the book, right?
I don't think it's mentioned at all in the book because she doesn't get a car in the book.
Yeah, she gets that in that red truck, and she doesn't know how to drive stick, but then she figures it out and then crushes Matt.
She figures it out. Yeah.
So that's the one time she uses.
But it's like a thing multiple times in the movie that they can't figure it out, just like it's a thing in the movie that they can't figure out how to use a rotary phone.
That pissed me off. But my theory is just that they took that like one thing from the book and kind of like expanded on it.
Okay,
for their
I
relationship.
forgot about that. So, screenwriter of Clown in Cornfield, forgive me. You do not have to respond, but feel free to respond.
Yeah,
if you'd like to,
leave a comment.
Come on the pod.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about screenwriting.
So Quinn, after being taken by the clowns, awakens in the old factory And of course, she's surrounded by friendos. They take off their masks to reveal themselves as Sheriff Dunn and other adults that we have seen throughout the film. They blame the teens for the town's troubles and not sticking to tradition. And Arthur Hill is also there. He is the mayor, of course, and Cole's father. And he reveals himself to be the friendo leader. And he plans to kill both Cole and Quinn. Glenn arrives to save the day. He drives his car through the factory, killing some of the friendos in the process. Quinn then electrocutes Dunn with a cattle prod in his mouth. Rust arrives and saves Cole, leading the two to reignite their old flame. And then 1 year later, Glenn is running for mayor and Quinn is leaving for college. And that is the plot of Clown in a Cornfield, the film.
Very nice.
Thank you. Thank you. Are you ready for some book research?
Yeah.
All right. Let's do it. So the book was published in 2020. It's a horror novel written by Adam Cesare, and it's his first novel in the young adult genre.
Really?
Yeah.
That is surprising.
But he has written other horror novels, short stories, comics, and even a few screenplays. So he is in the horror genre.
What
quite a bit.
screenplays has he written?
They're like smaller indie horror movies. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
The research section is really just me asking you further
questions. And me not having the answers.
Like, really? Additional info, please.
I literally follow him on Instagram. And
should I follow him on Instagram?
Go for it. I'm going to try tagging him in some of our stuff. Because he likes reposting things, which is cool.
Feel free to come on the pod. We'd
Please.
love to interview you.
He comes on horror podcasts. He's very much in the community. I like it.
Come on ours.
Yeah. So right now, he's currently working on a novelization of the new Toxic Avenger remake, which is pretty cool. Congratulations! And
he's a Bram Stoker award-winning author.
Yeah, for this book.
For this book?
2020 Bram Stoker Award winner.
That's crazy.
Yeah. He also had an audiobook exclusive for Audible called Influencer, and I did listen to it. And I really liked it. It has the actor who played Aaron Samuels in the new Mean Girls movie. And he plays a creepy, like, killer guy in high school. And I think he was perfect for that role. And he also came out with, like, a paperback version a few years after that. So you can read it in paperback. It exists. So Clown in a Cornfield was inspired by the 2016 clown craze, where clowns were just popping out of nowhere to scare people.
I forgot about that.
That was a crazy era. It was a crazy time.
Yeah, it's weird that was happening.
I know. And then just nothing came of it. Nothing was resolved.
Chat, drop in the comments why you think people stopped the 2016 killer clown craze.
And let's do it again.
Bring it back.
Let's bring it back. As I mentioned, there are 2 sequel books that I have here on the set. Clown in a Cornfield 2, Friendo Lives, and also Clown in a Cornfield 3, The Church of Friendo. And I will dive into the plots and my thoughts on these books at the end of the episode. Jumping to the film. The film was released in 2025. It's a slasher film. It's a slasher film directed by Eli Craig, and he's known for Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Plans to adapt the novel into a movie were announced way back in 2020, prior to its release. So Clown in a Cornfield, the movie, premiered at the 2025 South by Southwest Film and TV Festival.
What?
Yeah.
How did I not know this?
And it also was at the Overlook Film Festival, which we talked about way back, I think, in our Shining episode.
That would make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is a horror film festival specifically. And this apparently was like the main event at this film festival, which is pretty cool. Before releasing on May 9th, Clown in a Cornfield played at some drive-ins around the U.S. as a way to market the film. They also had a truck with Friendo the Clown plastered on the side of it, driving around the country, visiting different areas around the country, which is pretty cool. And the film set a new opening weekend record for IFC releases, surpassing Late Night with the Devil.
What?
Heck yeah.
You didn't like Late Night?
No.
I love Late Night. That breaks my heart.
I
still think about Late Night from time to time.
Well, firstly, the use of AI really had a negative impact on me.
We're gonna get into this.
Yeah.
Okay, but listen, I'm not. I don't know if I can talk about this. I don't know if this is a safe space, but it's for the title cards.
I know it was.
It's not like they altered actor
use.
performance.
No, I liked David Dastmalchian. He's one of my favorite actors.
It's great.
Mhm.
David, if you'd like to come on the podcast,
Hey, please.
we'd really love to have you.
Oh my god, I love Polka Dot Man. No, yeah. Other than his performance, I didn't enjoy much of any of
That's
it.
so sad. I love everything about it.
Oh wow.
What did you not like about it?
I thought it was kind of boring. I don't know.
It's literally about selling your soul. This means nothing to you.
I literally can't remember much of what took place in that movie besides the ending, which was cool. And then it just kept going. That was the thing. It's like you had the girl splitting apart, and then I was like, that was pretty sick.
Big
and then
spoilers
it just, like,
for Late Night with the Devil if you're listening to this section.
But then you like, it just kept going, and then he's like seeing visions of his wife, and I'm like, I don't care.
You don't care?
No.
About the visions of his wife?
I don't.
I cared about the visions of his wife.
It just felt like it was dragging on, and it's not even that long of a movie.
I've literally recommended that movie to so many people.
Wow.
Because I'm like, this is a great movie about selling your soul for entertainment and why you shouldn't sell your soul to work in the entertainment industry.
I think
it's very realistic.
Yeah. But like I wanted them to lean more into the 70s look, because that's what drew me in the first place, and then they kept like cutting back and forth and whatever.
You mean like when they do like the behind the scenes? We don't need to keep talking about this. This is not
this is not Late Night with the Devil. But yeah, that's my research on the book and the movie. Alrighty, are you ready to jump into the main segment?
Yeah,
book versus movie?
Yeah.
Okay. Right off the bat, openings are so different. So different.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't talk about what the book one is, but it's just significant. I will say, criticism of the book, and listen, I understand some people have bigger brains than me, but for me personally, the amount of character names in such quick succession was a lot.
Oh, really?
Yes, but also I was listening to the audiobook, so it was just kind of like name. So I wasn't like grasping the characterization until like towards the end after what happens to Victoria.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot, especially like Janet and Ronnie and Ginger. Yeah. Like there was a lot of names
Janet,
thrown.
Ronnie, Ginger, Cole, Matt. It's just like Victoria, who winds up being semi-inconsequential. It's like, it's just...
she sparked a lot, though.
She did, but in the movie...
Okay, yeah. Let's get into it. So, as I mentioned at the beginning, we have this opening in 1991 where these kids get killed by Friendo. That does not happen in the book. What happens in the book is we get this whole scene. The kids are live streaming. Cole and his friends, they're live streaming, and they're hanging out at this reservoir. And in the background, Cole's sister, she's been drinking. She's like in middle school or something, like 8th grade.
Yeah, she's definitely, like, they're too young, but she's
definitely too young. And no one's really paying attention to her. She takes it upon herself to jump from this high ledge into the reservoir, and she misses. She doesn't jump out far enough. She's also, isn't she like fully nude? Yeah.
Or did I make that up?
I don't remember
that. I said that she like took off her clothes, and that's why everybody was like, "What is going on?"
Oh shoot! Okay.
I could have completely made that up.
Maybe. No. Well, I don't know.
She might have just jumped in like normal. I can't remember.
Oh no, she wasn't completely nude. She had like her underwear on and stuff.
Oh, she had. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, she jumps, doesn't make it into the water exactly, and this leads to her death. And this, of course, affects Cole deeply. This affects his dad. Like, this affects everything going forward. And
can I just say it doesn't affect Cole deep enough?
I mean, he considers killing himself. Like that. There's a lot of these bits and pieces dropped in the movie about his sister dying and like him, this barn getting burned. Now,
I'm just saying, if it were me and my sister died on my watch, I wouldn't still have a YouTube channel. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair. Okay, that's a good point.
I wouldn't still be making vlogs.
I would probably, in the hunker down, style of settle down.
Yeah, because they live stream her death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a really brutal opening. I do prefer it so much more than what we get in the film. I also don't like how the film has this whole thing where this friendo phenomenon where the parents kill their kids has been happening throughout the generations. I didn't care for that much. I liked the fact this was like a new thing where they're like taking it upon themselves. And yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
I see that. I didn't have an opinion on that. I felt I understand both sides of it, because on the one hand, it's like it does support it thematically for it to be tradition that's upheld, because
Mhm.
that's
It's all about
highlighting,
tradition.
yeah, it's all
Yeah.
about differences between generations. On the other hand, I don't know. I like what happens in the book. I like that there's these town halls where the sheriff like manipulates everybody into being deputized, and
Yeah.
like there's a slow transition. I
They're being
understand.
radicalized. That's the
Right.
whole thing.
That's
Is
yeah.
they're it's not subtle in the fact that the clowns are like they represent MAGA and all this. I mean, Sheriff Dunn literally says, "Make Kettle Springs great again." Like it's not
Right.
subtle at all. And by making it this thing where they're like it's throughout the generations, I feel like doesn't really. I mean, it makes sense, but also I liked the commentary on the current political landscape a little bit. Now I get why they would want to kind of take that away, so it's not like, you know, putting a specific time to your movie, I guess. What's that called? Where it's like
You mean dating it?
dating it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I get not wanting to like date your movie, but I think that they really watered down that aspect.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'd agree with you.
Okay. So you also prefer the book opening, or you're kind of indifferent?
I prefer the book opening, but I don't know I can say I was a fan of the book
Uh-huh.
opening. But between the two, I thought emotionally the book was more effective.
Okay. Got
But
it.
also, I have a question.
Mhm.
What genre is this?
It's young adult.
More specific. Would you consider this to be horror?
Yeah,
Would you consider this
course.
to be a horror comedy?
not the book.
Okay, see, and that's interesting to me, because in the movie, very clearly there are moments that are meant to be comedic.
Mhm.
In the book,
It makes sense. The director did Tucker and Dale.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
in the book, there are moments where I was like, "Is this supposed to be comedic?"
Mm-mm.
And tonally, the opening scene is the most indicative of this. And like, obviously, the
Mhm.
opening of the movie is like they know what they're doing. It's calling back to lots of staples in the horror genre.
Yeah.
Whereas
Literally
in the book,
Jaws. As
yeah,
I was editing
right.
it, I was thinking about Jaws.
Same.
Yeah.
But whereas the book, it's more specific, it's scary and weird, and like
Yeah.
it incorporates this modern angle of like, would everything have been so bad if they didn't live stream her death, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that's what I would say about the opening.
Okay.
Let's go on.
Another difference is that Glenn Maybrook is actually the first one to meet Rust before Quinn. He
Yeah.
introduces himself the day before when they're just moving into the house, and then Quinn like officially says hey to him as they're walking to school.
Right.
So they just combined things and made things a little shorter. So
By
no
the
big
way,
deal.
while we're talking about it, well, I guess we weren't talking about it. I'm gonna start us talking about this.
Okay.
One reason I don't like the book is, why is the mother who dies of an overdose named Samantha? Yeah, you're banned. You're banned. Canceled.
That's
Canceled.
the reason.
Canceled.
Oh my god.
Choose a different name.
Yeah. They briefly talk about it.
They don't really talk about it in the movie.
Yeah, it's basically like only for Cole and Quinn to bond about
that's
the
right.
depths
They do
of
talk about it in the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. But in the book, they like talk about it for a little bit about.
They do.
And
They get
also
into details.
specifically like how Quinn's mom got hooked on opioids.
I think so. Mhm.
And which is interesting. It's a bummer. She gets prescribed pain meds, and then like over the course of a year, I think, and then she dies of an overdose. But should have had a different name. That's the conclusion there.
Just change the name,
Change
and
the
then
name.
Sam would give this a
10 out of
5
10.
stars. Yeah.
10 out of 10 book.
I think that's also indicative of how the book is more serious, a little bit darker than the movie is. The movie kind of brushes through the negative things that have deeply impacted these characters.
Yeah, I understand why it wasn't included. I don't think we missed out by not having that information.
Mhm.
And wrong name, so honestly, it shouldn't have been included anyway. Point for the movie.
Okay. Our big one. I think we both agree. The casting for Janet and yeah.
Well, this is such an interesting thing to me also because the book goes out of its way
Dude.
to be like, you think that this is a skinny little white blonde girl. It's not.
No.
And like,
dude, oh my God, it makes me so mad.
They say explicitly in the book like that Janet looks nothing like what you'd expect. They talk a lot about how she's like literally the only person of color, like at least in her class. And but she's also Queen Bee.
Yeah.
Like I think Quinn talks about like, oh, like her lip gloss color was like bubblegum pink or whatever. I don't remember. She said something about like how she was that girl. But when the lights come back on, she's like, oh, she doesn't look like that girl in the stereotypical way.
Ronnie is the stereotypical blonde girl, always has her hair in a side pony.
Right.
Wears, revealing clothes. Ronnie is that person in the book. Janet in the book, they have her whole, like, her moving to Kettle Springs. She's Asian in the book. And she moves to Kettle Springs when she's a kid, and she immediately deals with racism. And she kind of has to be aggressive in a way to, like, earn her spot amongst her peers.
Right.
She has to do all this to, like, she has to be the stereotypical mean girl to, like, stand out and make a name for herself. And then throughout the years, people start welcoming her. And she realizes, like, hey, these kids aren't all bad. It's a whole thing. They make a point of it in the book.
It's a very it's carried with a lot of nuance, I think, in the book about like why she acts the way she does, a lot of the internal conflict she has in like welcoming Quinn into the community, and also it's completely gone in the movie.
Yeah, they literally just cast a blonde girl to play her character. I was really shocked by that. I don't know how you could make that decision after reading the book. It's crazy.
Well, yeah, like because the book is so explicitly clear about like her identity politics. It's really interesting. It's not like she's Asian and it's not, brought up.
Yeah, like it literally has a lot to do with her character.
Yeah.
So it very bizarre, very bizarre.
Yeah.
Janet and Ronnie also have very clear crushes on Cole in the book. And it doesn't come across that way in the movie, I feel like.
No.
Especially Janet. Janet, she's just like wanting to, she's the head of this YouTube channel, I feel like. Like she is on it in terms of producing.
She has editors at the bay.
Yeah.
She is working the angles.
Yeah. That is her like defining trait in the movie. Another big change I did not like. I said I liked this movie, and yet I did list a lot of...
You're talking about a lot of stuff.
I enjoyed the experience of watching it, and then as I was writing the differences, I was like, oh, there's a lot of changes I don't like. But as a fun slasher movie, I enjoyed it. Anyway, Cole's dad, Arthur Hill, is the mayor of this town in the movie. Now, in the book, there is another guy who's the mayor. Arthur Hill.
He's the first kill.
Arthur Hill is, yeah. The other mayor in the book that I did not write the name of, but he is literally killed.
Does he have a name? I thought he's just the mayor.
He does have a name, yeah. I just forgot to write it down. Now, Arthur Hill in the book, he's a recluse. Nobody has seen him since Victoria's death. Yeah, he's like a figure where people are wanting him to be back involved in the town.
He's a big investor in the town.
Yes.
And part of the reason why the town has gone downhill is because
Arthur Hill. Down Arthur's Hill.
Yeah. Is because Arthur's pulled his money out, basically. And that's why
there's no corn syrup factory anymore.
Which decimated their economy.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they throw this Founders Day party and they're like, oh, maybe we can get Arthur Hill to come. And then they're like, he's not coming.
He's not showing up.
He's not showing up to Founders Day.
The mayor in the book is like trying to lie to get people on his side and be like, hey, I got Arthur Hill on the phone. He's coming to the town parade.
I actually really like the mayor in the book.
Yeah, he was kind of... I
felt bad for him. I get it.
But he was also kind of a pushover, and I thought that was an interesting character trait. He's like, he's trying to do what he can to save his position.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he gets killed because he doesn't really fit into the Kettle Springs Improvement Society.
That's the issue, is that like, and he was ready to be deputized too. He was like, I'll do it.
Like,
not you, die.
Yeah. That's another thing, is Sam mentioned, were these town hall meetings where the sheriff was slowly kind of feeding these ideas to the parents of the town, like, hey, we need to do something about these kids. We need to get these kids out of here.
The sheriff, what's also interesting about the sheriff is that he keeps his head on. Like, whereas the mayor is really flustered, he doesn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the sheriff does a really good job in the book when he's manipulating everybody, of just being like, he takes the floor and then he's like, yeah, you can keep talking, mayor. And then everybody just gets a lot more respect for the sheriff instantly.
Much more
he just
respected.
has more command of the room.
That was a kind of a difference in the
Big
film.
difference.
Is this sheriff in the film, I think he comes across as more friendly.
It's the Sheldon universe, I'm telling you.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I do feel like I've seen him. And
what if that's misinformation?
He does have the vibe of someone in the Sheldon universe.
I'm glad we're accepting that term.
The Sheldiverse. But yeah, he does not command a room as much.
He's nice and funny, and he laughs.
Mm-hmm. And he laughs.
And when he says sweetheart, it's not like sweetheart. It's like sweetheart.
Yeah, I didn't even like clock it as I was listening to it as like something creepy,
right?
Like it does in the book. But then I saw her expression. I was like, oh shoot, that's right. Like she took offense to that.
Right.
I did like that they did keep those small details in the film, like the sweetheart thing, the fact that he ordered potato and black coffee. Like that's what the sheriff ordered. On that potato. I'm like, that's the worst order ever. That's so nasty. But Trudy is also works in the diner, and she's in both film and book.
Potato sounds so good.
Yeah, but not with black coffee.
Certainly not. Certainly not.
Awful.
Drop in the comments if you would have a cheesy baked potato with black coffee.
Mm-hmm. Let us know. Jinx.
I was wearing matching outfits and be like, let us know.
Yeah. Stare into the camera.
Twins in The Shining.
Yeah, literally. That's what I was thinking. So, another difference is that Cole and the gang, his friends, they make specifically prank videos on YouTube in the book. They're pranksters. They're like the Paul brothers. Did the Paul brothers make prank videos?
That was an aggressive reference for you to not be sure.
Because when I think of like that era of like annoying YouTubers, I think of Jake and Logan Paul.
I can think of like I'm trying to think of the YouTubers like that I can think of that were like prank channels.
Yeah,
pranks.
I just never watched them. So, yeah,
like people were just pranking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's what they did. Now, in the film, it's kind of similar, but they specifically make like these horror shorts, and they utilize Friend of the Clown in their little videos.
Right. He's like a recurring character.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know what's kind of weird, though? In the book, they like Friendo.
The gang? Like
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody in the town kind of does, because he's like the town mascot. He's everywhere.
But in the movie, they're like, yeah, he's weird. That's why we're making fun of him.
He is... I did not like the look of the clown in the movie.
Yeah, I didn't like the look of the clown, period.
Well,
for our visual listeners, this is Friendo.
Yeah, well, and then in the Clown in a Cornfield too, like the masks, the Friendo masks are like these kind of cheap, plasticky masks that can easily break. They are not like these full-on things you slip on your head. They very much come across as cheap. I'm trying to think of a good
comp. Like, well, this is not a good comp, but like in The Dark Knight, you know how like the Joker's fiends wear masks.
Mm-hmm. Also, David Dastmalchian. He's
why is he the star of this episode?
Know. Hey,
David, come on the pod.
Why weren't you in this movie?
Who would he play if he was in this movie? The mayor.
He would kill it as Arthur Hill.
As Arthur Hill?
That's the mayor.
I meant the mayor. I meant we would write in the mayor.
We would rewrite this movie. And
I think he'd be really good as the mayor. But he also would be good as Arthur Hill. I just meant different mayor.
Okay.
The mayor, however you want to interpret that statement. Yeah, I think that he would kill.
Got it. In the book, like when the Friendos are attacking the kids, they notice that they're wearing like combat boots because they're like they're about to murder a bunch of kids. Like, they're not wearing these big old, like, clown, like, shoes, you know?
Right.
And that's what,
They're committed.
at least, they're committed.
In the movie.
But at the beginning of the movie, yeah, they're wearing these big, huge clown shoes. They make squeaky noises. I'm like, that's not hashtag not my friendo.
Well, this is the genre differences, right? Is that they really play up the whole absurdity of it, I think, in the movie.
Definitely.
Whereas in the book, they're like,
it's a serious
business.
Yeah.
Stand on business.
I mean, I get it. I mean, Clown in a Cornfield, whenever I bring it up, like, people find
How often
the
are you
name.
bringing this up?
I mean, every day. Literally every day. I'm introducing someone to Clown in a Cornfield and they're like, oh, that's a stupid name. No, but people think it's a silly name, and like, I get it. Like, it comes across as like a silly concept for sure.
Because I listened to an audiobook. Sorry, monkey reveal. Because I listened to the audiobook, I like didn't realize.
I love the cover. I think it's so
For
sick.
visual listeners at home, this is the cover.
That's the cover. It has.
Look at how it has Friendo in the cornfield.
Yeah, literally in the cornfield. I think this is my issue with the film marketing is I did not like the look of the poster.
I haven't seen the poster.
Yeah, I can bring it up. It's it looked really cheap. I didn't care for the logo either.
Wait, show me it.
This is the movie poster.
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen this.
I much prefer the book cover.
Frendo's freaky.
Friendo is a freak.
Freak. I don't have much to say. Why does, of the weapons of choice, he chooses the axe?
I don't know. I think a lot of the clowns
chainsaw.
Utilize
I think the
bow
crossbow.
and arrow. Yeah,
the crossbow was honestly freaky decision.
Yeah,
because it's like at that point, just get a gun.
Yeah, honestly, I'm surprised more of them didn't use guns because they're in a rural.
They all have
state
guns
in America.
Honestly, this is a plot thing for me. Is that it's like you're telling me this 17-year-old kid Rust has a truck full of guns and none of the adults have guns?
That's a good point. That is a good point.
How did he get those?
I'm surprised no assault rifle was used, honestly. They really wanted to hammer home the messaging.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I'm not even making a joke right now, but like literally, right? Like wouldn't that be the
I agree.
Wouldn't that be what you'd do?
Yeah.
And it would be effective.
I mean, it would make the book a lot shorter.
Yep. It would end it immediately
Christ.
and there would be no children in the town. But
yeah. They do, however,
the sheriff has guns. Why doesn't the sheriff use his gun? All the people he deputized, why don't they use their guns?
Yeah.
That's what happens. That's why you have to get Glenn Maybrook to fix up Judy's hand.
Well,
because she didn't have a gun.
If I'm trying to think logistically, right, it's much easier to find who owns the guns based on the bullets, right?
That is true.
So if they're trying to keep it under wraps.
But like, are you telling me that Cole Hill has a crossbow, a chainsaw, a hook, like,
oh yeah, they
you know
did try
to
blame.
They're like, this
Cole
teenager
and Quinn on it,
and that's
right?
the other thing too, is they're like, like Cole one day went crazy or not crazy. He's so, he's the outsider. This is in book and movie. It's so believable that this like tortured teenager would shoot up everybody.
I guess it would make sense for.
Why wouldn't he? Yeah. By that own logic, why wouldn't he?
Yeah,
Adam, I'd love to have you come on the podcast.
Why didn't you make him?
Hey, maybe there is a legitimate
mass
reason.
Shooter.
I mean, yeah, like maybe there's a reason, and I don't know, but I'm just saying, like, it's okay if nobody in the town has guns, but a 17-year-old does.
Yeah, and it is in a rural part of America, so
where
it would make
he
a lot
hunts
of sense.
His food. Surely
Hunting
there's other
is a big
adults in
thing.
town
Yeah.
that hunt for their food.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they would even have a crossbow like that, right?
Yeah. I agree with you.
Sorry.
Getting jumping over here a little bit.
Let's move
on. Big sidestep from that.
Yep.
There's a whole new scene added for the film that's not in the book where the kids are in a liquor store and they're trying to sneak alcohol out of there, and the liquor store owner ends up being a part of the Friendo gang.
I wasn't mad about that.
No,
That's fine.
was fine,
Honestly,
yeah.
like if I was that liquor store owner,
What, Sam? What would you do if you were that liquor store owner?
I'd call the police.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'd probably get a gun.
I'm surprised he didn't have one. Yeah. I guess, I mean, you said it that you did not like this book. I want to ask
Hey,
why.
I don't want to say I didn't like the book.
Well, I want you to get into it. I've gotten into my reasons for
Why
liking
you like it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's I just take issue with some. Well, I take issue with the tone because, like I said, at least for me as a reader, I was there were several moments where I was like, is that a joke? Is that serious? Like, and I don't like not knowing consistently, I guess. I mean, I don't know. There's exceptions to this, but like, I should probably come up with examples before I dive into all of this. But I will say my gun question. And, you know, one might say, but Sam, aren't there lots of movies and books where if a character just had a gun, everything would be fixed? Yeah, except certain characters do have guns. That's my issue. Which characters have guns is the problem in this book. I also have an issue with the fact that Samantha dies of an overdose. We've already
Yeah.
that. I didn't find it and in general with the premise, I didn't find it probable enough. Because if it is horror YA and you're trying to tell me that all of the adults in this town are convinced to murder their own children and it's not a comedy,
Yeah.
I don't know. And their reason is because you guys are too different from our generation. I don't know. I don't buy it. Like, I think, and that's why it's like, it's fine if it's a comedy, but I don't think the book was a comedy. And you don't seem to think the book was a comedy either.
No, it's not. I liked that it was played seriously. I like when things are played seriously, and if you can take it into a comedic route like they did with the film, that's cool. But for the most part, like I don't want them to be joking around about these kids being killed. Like I actually like the fact that it was more serious, even if the concept, the idea is so ridiculous.
Also, this is really off topic and it's really niche. So this is going to be this is a comment / critique of the film for our listeners who also watched and enjoyed the show Pen 15. I pictured Cole Hale looking like this.
No, you did not.
Yeah, I did.
Bro, there'd be no way he's the most popular kid in school with that stupid ass haircut.
Whoa. First of all, this kid is like 5 years younger than Cole is. So like not literally, like I don't literally picture this kid, but this actor like present day, because I don't remember when Pen 15 was made. I think it was a few years ago. I don't know what he looks like. Hey, this actor, drop a comment if you'd like to come on the pod. No, but like
he vaguely looked like a character in Sam's head.
they describe him in the book as being like skinny, tortured, like I'm not saying
dark
he looks
circles
tortured,
under
obviously,
his eyes,
but yeah, I pictured this actor in the context as described in the book. Whereas we got a TikToker.
I think that the actor chosen for Cole made a lot of sense.
I think he did a great job.
Yeah.
But he did not match the description in the book, in my opinion. I don't think, because they even say like months down the line when he gets with Rust that he gains weight and that he looks healthier and like he's got his life a little bit more on track with a lot of the weight taken off and understanding that he was
a football player and it wouldn't make sense for him to be like super skinny.
Right. Well, and the actor does match that description, but I didn't get the whole tortured part of it. Like that's the other thing. Cole during the movie, and maybe I'll talk about this, but like Cole during the movie, the entire time he's like, I didn't light that fire. I didn't kill my sister. I didn't do all of these things. You're blaming all these things on me. In the book, he does accept responsibility for Victoria, and he is responsible for burning down the barn.
Exactly. That's another big thing. Is that in a like a drunken decision, he's also kind of suicidal. Cole decides to burn down this rundown babe pin factory.
Right.
People get really pissed at it, and the whole time he's like, I was drunk, like it was a prank, like I didn't mean it, but he did mean it.
He meant it, and he meant to kill himself.
Yeah.
He meant to unalive himself, sorry.
I know. I'm gonna have to cut a lot of that.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But in the movie, he's like, not my fault, not my problem, not my fault, not my problem. And in the book, he's like this torture. I think you understand why Quinn likes him in the book because, like, you know, he's moody bad boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's a little bit on the outside, and so there's more of like a. And also, the reason why he doesn't get with any girls in the book is, at least to my understanding, is because he's this moody bad boy. Whereas in the movie, they all seem to know immediately why he doesn't get with any girls.
I didn't buy that.
You didn't buy the girls know that he's gay?
No, because they have this moment when Cole and Rust are like,
and they go, oh.
They're like, oh, yeah. So that's what I took. I was like,
but they figure it out. They figure it out quickly when they have that conversation.
Yeah.
Part of the reason they figure it out is because that conversation is quite literally, how could you do what you did to what we had? They're very, very explicit about their romance, which, hey, it's 2025. But they're in a flyover state by their own definition. They call it flyover country. What is the political attitude in flyover states? If you live in a flyover state...
Well, I mean, in the book, they talk about how Quinn talks about how they're more like open and stuff like that.
The kids are a lot more open-minded than she expected. That's true.
Going back to the factory, though, just to finish that thought, is in the film, this is like jumping ahead to the ending here, but Arthur Hill, the mayor, reveals that he actually burned down the building to blame his son, which is ridiculous, and I don't understand why, but...
I thought you loved this movie.
I don't love it as an adaptation. I think it is a fun movie on its own.
Well, if that's how we're judging it, then yeah, I liked the movie. But
it was just it's cool to see, you know, this author that I've been following for a while gain a little bit more recognition, is why
that's fair.
I appreciate the movie for existing in that way.
Yeah. I like what it's going for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just not the whole thing as a whole, but you liked some of the ideas.
For me as a consumer, it wasn't as effective, basically. Like the vehicles that were chosen to convey the themes that Adam wanted to explore, for me, I was not moved. However,
and you wanted it to be more humorous.
I wanted it to be one or the other.
Okay. So like just pick a lane.
Yeah,
basically.
Pretty much.
Okay. I got it. Okay.
But I'm not done ragging on Cole.
Okay, continue. Yeah, good on your Cole train.
Actually, that's pretty much it. I just think that his character development, or not development, but literally the change in his aesthetic was not conveyed.
No, I don't. I
his
agree
characterization
with that,
is completely different because he doesn't seem overwhelmed with guilt because he knows he's not responsible for anything, and I just felt there was a little bit more nuance to him in the book than there is in the movie.
100%. And I think a large part of that has to do with totally changing the beginning. Like totally getting rid of Victoria and her just being briefly mentioned here and there by other characters, I think was a detriment to his arc.
I also think it's unrealistic. I think for a kid that young to have been around when his sister died and also to be semi-responsible, if that is still consistent, I don't think he would act the way he acted in the movie, personally. But also, I mean, since it's never explored, we can never really know if that part of his backstory was kept intact. But I mean, when we meet him in the book, he's like a celebrity. Like the C's part when he walks into high school, they're like, it's Cole Hill, the arsonist,
the hallway parts,
Cole Hill, and it's just not the same.
No, and another big thing is that he and Quinn are more romantic in the film.
Oh, like, yeah.
In the book, I mean, she has a crush on him, but they're like they're just getting to know each other. They're not making out, they're not sneaking out.
Which is realistic when you're in high school.
They barely met like 2 days ago.
You don't start dancing at a high school party. If certainly I wouldn't, in the way that they did in that movie. They're like dancing.
Yeah. I think the only reason they did that was for the Cole and Russ thing to be more of a bigger deal, maybe more surprising. I don't know.
Bisexuality is not a surprise.
I agree with you on that. I just think general audiences were probably surprised by that.
Yeah, it's true. Well, I mean, I was surprised by it in the book.
I will say Russ, the actor, looked like how I imagined, but his acting wasn't the best.
Wait, who?
The guy who played Rust.
He looked how you imagined?
Mm-hmm. Like redneck wearing plaid.
You thought he looked like a redneck?
Yeah. What? Yeah, of course.
No.
That's what he is. He like hunts and...
No, I know. By his own by the way, redneck is what he calls himself. I don't think that actor looked like a redneck.
I saw it.
Disagree.
Okay. But yeah, he wasn't like.
I mean, like they
best.
outfitted him.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I've seen men look like that in Silver Lake. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Maybe that's a comment on Silver Lake and not on Rust. But
okay. I was gonna say I liked Cole and Rust looked like how I imagined. Rust's actor just wasn't up to par for me.
In general, I thought the kids were good. Overall.
I thought Quinn was great.
Yeah. I'm sure we're going to see her in more movies.
She was a good actress. Weird comment, but the biology teacher, Mr. Vern, was perfect casting.
Oh, yeah.
He was perfect.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Exactly what I thought was going on.
I always imagined that character as looking like the boss from The Incredibles. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Where he's like, coincidence? I think not. No? Anyway.
You're gonna have to show me later. I don't remember. I haven't watched The Incredibles in a long time.
Anyway, peak actor for Mr. Vern and Trudy. They were both good.
Trudy was great. Yeah.
Big difference in the film versus movie. Glenn and Quinn, they don't have crash outs in the book. Like they are not like butting heads as much. Yeah, exactly. Even Quinn tells her dad that she's going to the party. Like she asks if she can go, and she doesn't sneak out to go to the party like she does in the film.
Well, also Cole doesn't meet Glenn, right? Or
no, like Glenn only sees them from afar at the
he gets a vibe, but like he doesn't actually talk to Cole in the book.
No, he doesn't mind. He likes the fact that she has friends. Like he's cool with that.
Yeah. I think their relationship is understandable given their circumstances. Yeah.
Like he's kind of all over the place. He forgets things. It makes sense. He's got a lot on his mind, and but Quinn, and she obviously did not want to move here. She would rather stay in Philly, but she understands why he wanted to move there, and she respects the decision. She's not like getting mad at him for moving.
No, yeah, she completely
like she does in the film.
understands.
Yeah. Founders Day. Getting to Founders Day. Tucker actually, we haven't talked about Tucker at all. He's part of the friend group.
Which one is Tucker?
Tucker is the one that likes to dress in the friendo. No, that was Matt in the film.
Tucker's the one who gets murdered first?
Tucker gets killed first.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He's friends with Cole. Like, he's kind of like his quote-unquote bodyguard. That's how everyone views him. But he's friends with Cole. He likes making balloon animals for the kids. He likes dressing up as friendo for the parade.
One might say that he enjoys dressing up as a clown.
Yeah, he does. He's clowning around.
He's clowning
around. He likes making balloon animals.
Honestly, like, this is the only guy with a career path that I just...
in this town. He would make a killing as friendo.
He would make a killing as friendo. It's too bad. Really is sad.
I know. R.I.P. Tucker.
R.I.P. Tucker in his future clown career.
Yeah, literally.
Sucks.
He's also the one that he has the firecrackers. It's a brief thing that's mentioned at the beginning at the reservoir. He's the guy to go to if you want firecrackers. And he brings the firecrackers to the parade, and he lights them as a prank, and then things go awry. Now, in the film, he dies before any of this happens. He dies before the Founders Day parade. He gets killed in his home. And Matt is the one that causes the parade explosion.
Are we going to talk about, feel free to cut this out. Here, I'll even wait a little bit. Feel free to cut this out. Are we going to talk about the fact that in the book, we're talking about Matt, right? Or are we talking about Tucker?
Tucker.
In the book, Tucker is white, right?
I don't know if they specify.
Okay.
No.
The mayor dies first. Mayor's race is not specified, but most certainly the first death in the movie is a person of color.
Yeah.
And
besides the people in 1991, but yeah.
Yeah. But this is also interesting because Ronnie, also a person of color, would talk about this later in the movie where she's like,
yeah,
this is just like a horror movie. Like, and they're like, okay. And she's like, it means I'm next. Yeah. And she does. Which I don't really know what to say about that because I don't know if that's satire. I mean, sorry, it must be satire, right? Because otherwise, what? But it's just an interesting creative choice because that I don't personally understand. Again, screenwriter or director or Adam, if you'd like to come on the pod and talk to me, maybe I just don't understand your vision, but I did not understand that.
My only hope,
and I bring this up
is-
because it isn't specified in the book.
No. He's just kind of like a bulky dude. Like, we don't know
Yeah.
anything else really about him. My only hope is that when they finished the script and they kind of erased all these defining characteristics about these characters, is that they just did colorblind casting.
That's what probably it is.
That's my only guess.
Well, because anything else is crazy.
Yeah, anything else would be like, what are you doing?
Right. But it just, just because it must have been colorblind casting as well for Janet. It had to have been. That's the only explanation. Because otherwise it's like, why were those? I just bring this up because you erase the woman of color, like the main woman of colors in the story's like whole identity plot line.
Yeah.
And then the two people of color that there are in the friend group get killed first.
In the film, yeah.
I'm just raising the food for thought.
Yeah. It's interesting.
That's one difference. And I just, again, feel free to cut all that out.
No, I think it's important to talk about. Is that, I don't know the answers. But yeah, so in the film, Tucker dies. Friendo kills him in his house. And that's pretty similar to how he dies in the book, except he puts up way more of a fight. Like, they are flailing around his living room. Like, it's so much more, it's a longer scene, definitely, in the book. All right, another change is that Arthur Hill has a wife in the film. And in the book, she's dead. And I think that's one of his, like, it sparks his downward spiral a little bit because he loses his wife and then he loses his daughter. And I think that's kind of, what set him on this path a little bit.
Beg to differ, because they say at the end that they're like, actually, he's like low-key a murderer. And he's been a murderer. And he loves to murder. That's like his favorite thing.
What?
Don't they say that at the end? They're like, Arthur Hill is actually murdering around.
In the book?
In the book. In like the last section of the book, they're like, Arthur Hill is alive. He's murdering around. And now he's in Haiti.
Well, he takes a private plane after the events of the book and he escapes. And then he ends up killing the pilot.
Awesome. Why would he do that? How? I guess so that
because he thinks that the pilot knows who he is. He's wearing the friendo fit and he's trying to keep his identity secret. And I think it's because he thinks the pilot knows who he is.
You have so much money.
Trying to keep it a secret.
He
could have just bribed him. Yeah.
Why did you kill him? I guess. Well, no. I guess because the logic is dead men tell no tales. Whereas paid men
might tell a tale.
They might tell a tale.
Yeah. I mean, I don't recall him being a murderer.
I might have made that up. As you can tell, I've made up a few things.
I've read this book quite a bit. Like I know he becomes a murderer in the sequel.
I'm gonna literally look at it right now. I don't know if I made this up. I'm pretty sure it said that, but maybe what I'm thinking is that he just continued to kill people. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. And in my head, I made it that he is.
I mean, you're on the right path. I mean, he does continues that.
Oh, he goes to Cuba. Book. I'm sorry.
Okay.
He doesn't go to Haiti. You don't have to wait for me to find this information. Okay. We can continue.
While Sam's looking for that, the whole jail scene, it was added for the film. So Quinn and the gang get put in jail after the Founders Day parade, and that's not something that happens in the book at all. Again, I don't mind it. I think it just it continues with the idea that Quinn has kind of found herself in this friend group that is a little sus, maybe, not the best influences, and that makes sense why her dad would not be vibing out with them as much as he does in the book.
So to close the chapter, I misinterpreted. Okay. I took the line that says he'd been responsible for dozens of deaths. I thought that was in addition to what happened in Kettle Springs. Okay. And so I thought that this was a thing of his. But in reality, he'd been responsible for dozens of deaths, but not the one he truly wanted. And that was because that's not in reference to new murders. That's in reference to the current murder.
I do want to jump off that because, in the film, the idea is that the Hills have been responsible for these mass murdering of children throughout the decades, and Arthur Hill is just taking the leadership position with this current mass killing. in the book, it's Sheriff Dunn who is initiating all of this, basically, and he just gets Arthur Hill's permission because he just wants to kill Cole. He doesn't care about all these other kids getting killed. He's just like, sure, you can do what you want with the other kids, but bring me my son. I want to
kill that guy.
Kill him.
You know what's crazy? Why can't he just kill his son?
That's what I was just thinking as we were talking about this. I was like,
have to kill him in a crazy way.
You all live in the same house.
It did not have to. There are multiple reasons it didn't have to be like this. Number 1 is guns. Number 2 is you guys live together.
Yeah. And you could have, if the whole idea is they want it to look like a planned suicide by Cole and Quinn, he literally just could have somehow killed Cole in the house and then staged a suicide, and it would have been way easier than everything they do in the book.
Right. He could have even I don't know.
I get why.
Do you get it?
I get why you don't vibe with this as much. I totally get it. I really like the characters, and especially in the second one, which I'll get into. But yeah, I don't know. It was just like such a cozy read for me.
I get that. And listen, the vibes are there,
Mm-hmm.
and it's fun. I 100% understand that. Not everything needs to be ironclad. Obviously, I'll go on a tangent about another movie I saw recently after this, but
Okay.
not everything needs to be ironclad for it to still be enjoyable, of course. But guns.
Guns.
all
Where
I'm
are the
gonna say about
guns?
it. Why does
Sam loves
only
guns.
no no that's not right. But why does a 17-year-old have a gun and the sheriff doesn't? That's I know I keep
agree.
bringing this up.
I understand. It
Let's move
doesn't
on.
make a whole lot of sense.
Let's move on.
Alrighty, we're jumping into a big change here. So there's a scene where Matt, the jock, he is working out and he gets decapitated by one of the friendos. Now, this doesn't make a lot of sense in terms of the timeline of the book. And what happens in the book is that this is a big spoiler, but
listen,
for the book.
I was going to say, if you are making it this far and you're concerned about spoilers, you have other problems.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Go ahead.
So Matt and Ronnie are actually working with the adults. They are basically their informants to the kids. They are used as like the inn, and their whole goal is to basically protect and kind of stay near Cole as the events of the attack are taking place.
Because they need him to stay alive in order for the plan to stick.
Yeah. So Matt and Ronnie are in on the friendo's plans. Now, when I saw that Matt immediately died before the party even started, I was like, okay, is it just going to be Ronnie
Ronnie
then?
could still be a double agent.
Yeah.
No.
No,
actually.
Ronnie, as I mentioned at the top of the episode, also dies. She gets killed via chainsaw. So none of the kids are working with the adults. I was like, why wouldn't you want to include such a plot twist? Like, I feel like that
it was a crazy plot twist.
It's such a fun plot twist.
Yeah.
As you like reread it, you notice all their like weird attitudes towards Cole, and you notice like how what they're trying to do to make sure this plan works. I'm thinking of they're like, hey, let's park way out here away from the party. Let's park our car way out here and then walk. And I think like, Janet is like, no, we aren't doing
like,
that.
Can we go to the party, please?
Yeah, let's drive there. So it's like little details like that. I think of when they're in the silo and they're trying to keep other people out of the silo, so it's just Matt, Ronnie, and Cole together. Like you notice how their brains are working and what they're trying to accomplish. So right off the gate, Matt's dead. Very weird.
Bummer.
His death was fun.
You know,
I thought it was cool, but still.
Let's ask the question: why did they do that?
I don't know.
Let's ask the question because Tucker dying makes sense because Tucker was going to the party.
Mm-hmm. And his mom also knew. His mom was a part of the friendo's plans. She was like, "Hey,
she's not there.
Maybe you're grounded." And I don't know. She said something in that letter that she left him, like, you can still be redeemed or something like that. Like,
which is it's actually kind of crazy because she was saving his life by grounding him.
Yeah.
If he had just listened to her. Okay, now I sound like I'm on the side of the parents. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not
she supports parents killing their kids.
No, this episode is just Sam slander. First the overdose, second the guns. Anyway, but she was kind of trying to save her son.
But then the friendo showed up and killed him anyway.
Friendo kills him regardless. But also, like, you kind of get it because he was, like, going to go to that party. Like, he was scheming to get to the party. That was Tucker, right? Matt, however, was lifting weights.
Yeah. He was prepping to go to the
Why
party.
was someone already in their outfit and got the murder weapon out before we're even at the party? Oh my God,
you're so right. Like, why would they do all that?
Unless, and this could make sense, unless it was his parents directly, and they're like, let's just knock this out.
Yeah.
But again, why wait for them? Like, just do it anytime.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, a weird choice for sure. I remember my jaw literally dropping when I saw that Matt died. I was like, but he's so I found his character interesting in the book.
Well, there's also drama in the book because it's like, oh, like Ronnie very obviously likes Cole, but she's like dating Matt, like,
but also seeing Tucker on the side.
Right. There's like a lot going on there, but like, yeah, that's just not. It's not a thing at all.
He's just very basic in the like. You couldn't even. He's a blonde guy with muscles. That's who he is. Like that's Matt's character in the film, I guess. So in the film, when Cole and Quinn, they're driving to the party at this point, they almost run into Rust. And he's looking a little creepy. He's looking a little sus. He's carrying a deer. Now, in the book, Matt and Ronnie actually prank a lot of names.
You see what I'm saying?
Matt and Ronnie, they prank Cole and Quinn. And I think Janet is also in the car with them.
Yeah.
So they put like a friendo scarecrow up in the middle of the road. So then Cole drives into it thinking he killed somebody, but it was just a prank that Matt and Ronnie did. And that's when the group joins together and Matt and Ronnie are
Which
like...
is so cool, by the way. It's so cool to prank your friend who's had a lot of death in his personal life by making him think he murdered someone.
Yeah, making you think you killed another person.
Awesome.
Yeah. They're great friends. They're awesome. Yeah. So yeah, then Matt and Ronnie are like, hey, let's park way out here. And Janet's like, heck no.
Can we please not do that?
Yeah. So yeah, immediately we know that they kind of suck. Matt, like Cole doesn't even really like Matt, but Matt's part of the group anyway. Ginger. Do you remember Ginger?
Oh, how could I forget?
Yeah. The movie did. So Ginger,
I'm the one who was on the dislike side. What is going on?
I know.
She exists in the movie.
Yeah,
and she actually dies the same way.
She's the first person to die at the party.
But she's not punk.
No.
Is she punk in the book? What is she?
So
she's goth?
She's kind of alternative.
Alt. Yeah, she's alt.
Ginger is a character in the book, and she has her nickname Ginger because she had a terrible hair dye job. And it just made her hair look red forever.
Ginger is not the worst nickname.
No,
TBH.
It could be much
Ginger's
worse.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. And so she's kind of...
It's also
she's
some
like
people's
there.
real name. It's a really cool name.
Yeah. So. Shout out to the Gingers out there. We love you.
We love our Ginger listeners.
But yeah, so she's in the book, and she's actually the one that shows Quinn how to open her locker. Mm-hmm. She's kind of there, but I just wanted to bring her up because I was like,
well, also she's in the opening. That's the most important thing about Ginger. Is that
yes,
she's in the opening. She's fully in the friend group with all of them, but as a result of what happened, she blames Cole for everything. Mm-hmm. She's like, it's Cole's fault, which I think is interesting because it's like which friends decided to stay friends with him and which friends were like, no, he's actually like a bad guy.
Yeah,
and it adds more depth to him as a character because it makes it because you have to find out as the reader like who was right. You know, that question is removed in the movie.
Yeah. So
and that's okay. Honestly, of all the things to cut from the book, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. Ginger, I mean, she still makes an appearance. She's the
she
one that gets shot with an arrow. So
that's true.
So at this point, the Friendo massacre is taking place, and in the book, Janet, Quinn, and Rust are actually separated from Ronnie, Matt, and Cole for a little while.
For a lot.
Yeah. Ronnie, Matt, and Cole are hiding away in a silo, while Janet, Quinn, and Rust are out in the cornfield. Janet has been shot with an arrow, I believe. And so she's wounded and she's delirious.
Right.
She's
I completely
unable.
forgot about all of this.
Yeah, so she dies very differently in the book
I remember
versus
how
movie.
she dies.
Mm-hmm.
They give her a gun. They're like, we're not going to load it.
Yeah.
Because they're scared.
They're scared that she's gonna do something dangerous.
She's actually going to kill like them on accident because she's losing blood quickly.
Yeah.
But then, you know.
And her stepdad is actually trying to target her, right? Because she keeps saying like, they're targeting me. Like the clowns are actively going specifically to Janet.
Which again is part of her identity politics.
Mm-hmm.
It's because she is like one of the only people of color in town.
Mm-hmm.
But also she and her stepdad like beef. That's talked about, right?
Yeah.
She and her stepdad have like major issues.
Yeah. I wrote down she dies from an arrow wound, but I can't remember how it was. Was she shot?
She doesn't die from an arrow wound.
Oh, what? How did she die?
She's beheaded.
Oh my god. How did I forget that?
And her head gets like thrown.
And she's like, she trips over her own head, right?
I think so, yeah.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, okay. I don't know how I totally forgot about that. So
it's the most visceral like murder, I think, that I remember.
Because it's somebody like we followed.
We
throughout.
really sympathize with Janet, and she gets decapitated in the worst way.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for remembering that, because I totally forgot.
How could I forget?
Yeah. She's the first one to die in the group. Meanwhile, jumping a little ahead here in the film, she gets killed in the Tillerson house with a pitchfork. She's actually one of the last to die in the group.
True.
True. So at this point, I was like, okay, well, Matt and Ronnie are dead. So maybe Janet is the one working with the adults. And no, none of the kids are working with the adults.
Yeah.
So
well, they couldn't have been working with the adults because then they would know how to use the rotary phone. Isn't that right? Filmmakers?
They just wanted a gotcha for Gen Z. They were like, you guys are dumb.
It felt like that Ellen segment where they like pull out a map and they're like, does Gen Z know how to use a map?
I mean, to be fair, I don't, but
you don't know how to use a map?
Not when I got my phone.
What do you mean? You look at it.
Yeah,
you use your eyes.
Yeah, but it spells it out for you. It
yeah. I mean, it's obviously easier to use your phone.
Yeah,
but I mean, even still, it's like you look at a rotary phone and it has
you do
numbers
the little
on it. Yeah, like what do you mean? You do what you do on the phone.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think I could probably figure that one out.
I think
in an emergency, I don't know.
In an emergency, they're calling 911. It goes 911.
Which also, well, okay, that also doesn't make sense. Because at this point they don't know Sheriff Dunn is involved yet. It's getting muddled because in the book they know Sheriff Dunn's involved and Quinn is by herself in the Tillerson house. She's like, I can't call 911. When they go to the Tillerson house,
it's completely different between the book and movie. So it's a little hard to remember.
Yeah.
But
she's like, I can't call 911 because it's just gonna redirect to the sheriff, like the local department, and he's involved, so I can't do that.
Right.
That happens somewhere in the book, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
Okay, Glenn. Let's talk about Glenn for a little bit. So
your favorite, apparently.
My favorite character.
You know what, though? Listen, this is going to be a big twist for everyone who's been listening to the episode this far. Me, personally, I liked the movie part of this better. I liked,
What?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
I liked that he was driving around and notices his shop is broken into. I thought that made complete sense. Jump to the chase. Yeah.
To clarify, so in the film, Glenn is driving around because he's looking for his daughter and he notices, hey, my doctor's office has been broken into. He goes in and a friendo is there and he's like, you need to come with me. And then
come to your operating table.
Yeah, come to
my brother friendo here has lost his hand.
Brother friendo, you need to operate on him.
That friendo, by the way, is not Trudy.
I know. Okay, I'm glad you noticed that.
That is a man.
Okay, yeah. So there's so much happening. This friendo gets shot by Russ in the hand, so he needs to be operated on. Now, in the book, that this friendo is specifically Trudy, who worked at the diner. In the film, Trudy survives until later, and we see her later.
Doesn't she continue to work at the... No, she dies. She dies in the warehouse.
She dies in the warehouse, yeah. now in the book, Glenn is kidnapped from his house and taken to this dingy, rundown warehouse.
Where there's bodies.
There's bodies.
There's
the doctor's
feces.
the previous doctor's body is
he's
there. So the doctor was killed. And so he has to work in this really unsanitary space.
He doesn't have any medical supplies.
Yeah. And they refuse to let him take the mask off of this friendo who is not breathing properly. He can't do his job.
Yeah.
He can't do his job. And I disagree. I prefer the book because
I knew you'd say that. I know that this is a hot take of mine. Yeah.
I think
I want to give the movie a win. I like that part.
Okay.
Good job. That's good writing right there. That's how you condense a really unnecessary thing into something very quick and effective, and we understand what's going on.
I totally agree. It condenses things. It makes more sense for viewers.
Yeah.
I think the imagery of working in such gross working conditions worked for me a little bit more. And him literally putting on the friendo costume to sneak out. Or like the friendos that are watching him leave.
Right. I forgot about that.
And so he takes I think he takes Trudy's friendo outfit or
yeah. Well, so Trudy dies and he like is still talking to her to pretend that she's alive so they don't kill him.
Right. So and then he ends up
taking her outfit and then sneaking out.
Yeah. As a reader, I mean, I enjoyed reading that more, but it totally makes sense from a viewer's perspective. Like, okay, he's operating on an operating table. Like that makes.
But this goes back to the tonal shift between book and movie. It's like it is not that, to be clear, not that that him operating in his office is comedic, but it is certainly not comedic for him to wake up in a room of bodies. You know, like that's. Well, I guess it could be.
Much creepier, yeah.
Writing challenge for the screenwriters out there. Write a script where a character wakes up in a room of bodies and rat feces, and it's a comedy. Send it to my email. This is not a scam.
My life is... My life, some might say, is a comedy, but it's actually a tragedy.
What's that?
Isn't that from Joker?
Yeah, that's what I thought it was
Another
from.
clown?
We love clowns on this podcast.
We love clowns.
We kind of do. I mean, what is this if not?
Hey, there he is. There's two clowns, actually. We got Pennywise on set and Terrifier clown.
For our audio listeners, we have Pennywise on
clown. He's here. Bill Skarsgård's here, everybody.
Skarsgård's sitting with us. He's been a little quiet this episode.
Yeah.
Probably because he didn't read the book.
Bill! Something I really missed in the film was the fact that the friendos literally try to burn the kids out of the barn.
Yeah, that's true. That's just not.
That was such a disturbing moment where they literally describe the smell of burnt flesh.
It's true.
Of these children being burned alive.
You know what though? Disagree. I didn't miss it.
Really? But it's just like the whole thing. The film is like, we're only targeting this specific group of kids. The other kids, whatever, they're hiding in the barn. We totally forget all about that.
Yeah, in the movie, they're like, burn it all.
No, in the film. Or,
what?
God, in the book. In the book, they're like, we're actually going after all these kids. Like, it's actually a massacre of everybody. It's not just this one group. And yeah, I think I really missed. It sounds weird to say I missed having these kids.
Tessa wishes more kids were killed.
But I'm just like, that's the tragedy of it all. It's like these parents are going after their kids. It's not just this one group of kids that we're focusing on. It's like, yeah, these other kids are in danger and they die in brutal ways. It's really sad.
Right. And again, they didn't have to because their parents could just use guns.
Yeah.
Of course, they wanted to use chainsaws on their kids.
Their parents wanted to torture them with fire.
That's why. This is my new theory. The parents wanted to do that. They didn't want to just shoot a gun.
They wanted to actually.
They wanted to brutalize
there's
their
our
kids.
explanation.
That has to be what it is, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the book, they literally describe how a good % of their population is just gone now. Like, that's how devastating this whole thing was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and kids and adults, because that's what happens when you don't have guns. You are susceptible to people that do have guns.
True.
Well, hang on. That sounds like I could be quoted.
Wait, hold up.
In the context of this book,
yeah,
where there is, you could either
like,
be a clown.
Good guys with guns.
No. This is political.
Oh my God. All right, Ronnie. As we mentioned, Ronnie dies differently in the film versus book. In the film, she gets killed with a chainsaw by one of the friendos. In the book, Quinn actually kills her.
Yeah. Which, by the way, can I say something?
Mhm.
Is this a safe space? Great. I did already comment on my questionable casting of the people that die first. Now I'm going to talk about book stuff. In the book, the only times Quinn is like rewarded is when she's like trashing another woman around her. My point. One, when she first sees Ronnie, she's like, I didn't know overalls could be pornographic. She like critiques her outfit. She like slut shames her. Frequently in the book, Ronnie is asking Quinn for the gun. She's like, give me the gun, give me the gun. I know how to use the gun. Which obviously winds up being a good decision that she doesn't because Ronnie is a double agent. However, Quinn doesn't have a reason to know that. Quinn just doesn't want to give her the gun because she doesn't want to give her the gun because she doesn't like Ronnie. And like, that's it. And then Cole's like, I like this new girl because she's being mean to the other women around her.
I see what you mean.
And there's not a point, like it's consistent. I'm not saying Quinn's a pick-me because I don't think that, but I do think that because we get the characters' perspectives, we can see what Quinn is thinking about all the girls around her, and also what Cole is thinking about Quinn being mean to the girls around her. And I think, and hey, maybe that's high school, okay? Maybe I'm a few too many years away from high school to comment on that kind of thing, but I do feel like for this woke town that we've talked about,
it's not.
That's a little bit
not
odd.
Woke.
It's not a woke town, sorry. I
very much opposite.
Okay, it's not woke, but they say in the book they're like, well, actually, Quinn even says she's like, these kids are
the kids are a little bit more open-minded, but definitely not their parents.
I am not attributing the town to be woke. To be clear, Quinn says these kids are more woke than I expected. That's a quote from the book.
Yes,
loosely.
Yes.
Just had to put that out there since we're talking about Ronnie because I feel like and Janet also is like, Ronnie in the opening. She's like, Ronnie's wearing that bikini. Like she's like. She's showing off. I
mean, it's very much young girl mentality. Yeah. This idea, especially since all the girls like Cole, they're all trying to get his attention,
right? Which is also crazy.
Yeah. I believe it as something a character would think. I don't agree with it, obviously,
sure.
But like, I mean, Ronnie at this point has made it very clear that she does not like Quinn. And I totally get why Quinn would start viewing her in a negative light, even if it's kind of about her looks, which I don't agree with. But I get that mentality. I mean, I feel like I definitely shit on girls that like showed too much skin because of my own insecurities or whatever. Like, it's totally like a teenage girl behavior.
Fair enough. I guess I don't even necessarily I should be clear. I don't necessarily take issue with it in the book because like you said, how high schoolers are, or sorry, the opposite. That's not what I meant. I meant, I don't take issue with that per se. It's just that my understanding of the point of it is unclear, if that makes sense.
Okay. I would have to like reread those scenes, but yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
More on Ronnie.
Okay. More on Ronnie. So yeah, Quinn kills her in the bathroom.
See what I'm saying?
And Quinn is like, where's Cole? Where did the sheriff take Cole? And Ronnie, as she's dying, sings the Bay Pin theme song, which leads Quinn to believe that, Cole is being taken to the factory. Now, I wanted to bring this up because one of my main issues with the film is that they took away a lot of Quinn's agency. She's much more of a badass, I think, in the book, where she's like, yeah, like Sam said, she's toting around a gun even though she was anti-gun.
Which is
she's like she takes out both Ronnie and Matt, who are trying to kill her. Like, she takes them both out. And she physically goes to the factory herself.
Right.
That's a key thing where she goes there to try to save Cole. Now, in the movie, she's taken there. She's kidnapped by the friendos. Like, that choice is totally removed from her. The whole time throughout the film, she's just running away from the clowns without much of an idea.
One might argue that this is more realistic for a 17-year-old
100%. I just liked how I think to some people, you have this fight or flight response, right? And in the movie, it's definitely like flight. In the book, it's fight. And when we see in the other book sequels, she becomes like a fighter. Like she kind of becomes numb to violence almost, which is an interesting response to this trauma, where she's just like, okay, we're doing this again. Like I found that a much more interesting take on the character. I wanted her to be more of a cool final girl that actually like takes initiative. I wanted her to take more initiative, and I kind of missed that in the film a bit. A difference is that she's the one that actually kills Matt. She figures out how to use the truck at the Tillerson house and crushes Matt between the truck and the house. And then she heads on over to the factory. But of course, as we mentioned, Matt died earlier in the beginning of the film, near the beginning of the film, as he was decapitated. All these like quote unquote hero moments were taken away from her, except when she kills Sheriff Dunn at the end of the film.
I honestly didn't think of it that way, but that is a good note.
Okay. All right. We are at the factory in both versions.
Thank God.
As we've talked about, Arthur Hill reveals himself to be involved in this whole friendo scenario. He says that his family has a history of doing this in past generations to remove the quote-unquote blighted crop, as he said.
The blighted crop.
Yes. He had a fun performance. Definitely not how I imagined this character at all.
That's because the character like doesn't exist in the book. It's like the character in the book is like one scene only, and they're like, let's bring out Arthur Hill.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's how it plays out in the film. But in the book, the adults are just of this town, they're just fed up with their kids. They're fed up with their behavior, and they've been radicalized by Sheriff Dunn to kill them. It's not a recurring thing that has happened multiple times throughout the book or throughout the generations. Yeah, and then Arthur Hill also reveals that he was the one that burned down the factory and blamed Cole. So yeah, we already got into all that. Again, as I was watching that in the movie theater, I was like, why? Like, yeah, why would you blame
well, insurance
Cole?
Money. That's what they say.
Oh, it was insurance money. That's right.
They actually did give a reason for that.
But he's like, wealthy.
But you can check what. Oh, you know what though? Why would he get insurance money for his own son burning it down? I don't know how insurance policies work.
I don't know. I mean, it's
pretty sure you don't get the money if it's arson.
Property.
Isn't that the whole thing?
I thought you would.
I thought it's. I'm okay.
I don't know.
This might be coming from a different movie, which obviously is the most reliable information ever.
We get all our info from movies.
But I'm pretty sure that kind of insurance wouldn't apply to arson. Regardless. Also, it's a family member who did the arson.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like,
would that count? I don't know. Interesting question.
Look, hey, if you work in insurance, drop a follow and comment on this video if this kind of insurance would apply to arson. Engagement farming.
We need to figure this out. This is a real plot heavy film. We need to figure this out.
It kind of matters because he does decimate and that's the other thing. That thing is not functional in the book. They say it's abandoned.
Yes. It's been abandoned for years. It hired a lot of people, and then when that closed down, a lot of people didn't have jobs. But in the film, it's kind of implied that people were still maybe working.
No,
there.
Fire insurance generally does not cover damage caused by arson, whether it's self-inflicted or by someone else.
Okay, Arthur Hill was incorrect.
Okay, that did come from AI though. So that came from Google Gemini.
Oh, that's actually bad. That's not good. So those were all the differences I could find. Are there any that you think I left out?
I think you pretty much covered. I think you pretty much covered everything.
So, I wanted to do a little in conclusion. All right, in conclusion, the film waters down the message that these clowns have been taken over by conservative ideology. It has erased Janet's history with racism, and it gave Quinn less agency. Overall, as an adaptation, a major bummer.
Look at you with the little conclusion in my concluding remarks.
Thank you.
Is this going to be in other episodes moving forward?
I just wrote it down while in bed because as I was thinking about it, I was like, actually, this does bother me.
This is crazy because like I thought like we started this episode and it was like, oh, Sam doesn't like this.
I know.
You called it a bummer.
Yeah.
Let the record
As an
reflect.
adaptation,
Let the
I
record
still
reflect.
think it's an enjoyable time that if you haven't read the book, you'll probably enjoy.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't ever say don't watch it ever.
Yeah.
You should watch it.
Mhm.
You should
support
read it.
indie movies.
100%. Yeah.
You know, we've learned something today. We've learned that
I learned something.
we
every
could
day.
have like that's good. That's good.
Especially with you.
Yeah. I'm always just trying to share my knowledge with others. I'm trying to take it upon myself.
Podcast.
Yeah. This podcast that I don't know any of the names of the people in it. Okay, Sam, I think I know your answer, but what do you prefer, the book or the film?
Oh, actually, maybe I don't know.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm gonna go with the book.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with the book because of all the reasons I've just described for the last hour to our listeners.
Got it. And I will also say the book for what we've talked about for the last hour.
I do feel the need to double down here though, since we both said book. See the movie. You should see it.
And read the book.
Yeah, watch it when it comes out. And read the book.
Yeah.
I got mine from my local library.
We support our local libraries,
Of
or
course.
support your local authors. Buy directly from the authors.
Very true.
Adam Cesare is pretty cool. He collaborates with a local bookstore and does book signings. So if you want like a book specifically signed by him, you can go and check that out. I got a book signed by him, so that was pretty cool. He wrote my name.
Wait,
I think it was. It's either the third one.
This is the hardcover.
I think it's the third one. Yeah.
Wait, that's so cool. Adam, friend of the pod.
Yeah.
Oh my
He put my
goodness.
name in there. Speaking of, I'm a character in the book.
Are you really?
In the first one, they one of her friends is named Tessa.
Did she die?
She is never really brought up again after that. But I like to think that's me.
You were
If in a
fighting.
sequel
You were
book-
fighting in those cornfields.
In the next movie, if they ever bring this character back, hey, I'm down to do it.
Hey, it's a
I'm down
lot
to
better
make
than
a
what they
cameo.
did to Samantha. I'm just saying.
True. Alrighty. This versus that.
Yeah.
YouTube prank videos versus low budget horror shorts.
Wait, what?
What do you prefer?
YouTube prank video?
YouTube prank videos
Look me in the eyes and ask me that question
versus
again.
low budget horror shorts.
Low budget horror shorts.
Okay. Agreed. Would you rather hunt with Rust or get pranked by Cole's gang?
One of them involves real guns.
Yes.
So I'm gonna go with pranked by Cole's gang.
You would enjoy having or you would tolerate a guy dressed as Friendo scaring you out of nowhere.
Wait, hang on.
Yeah.
Rust in the book or Rust in the movie?
And I'm talking movie here.
Okay, then
Oh, wait.
I'm still
I was thinking about movie. Yeah.
I'm still going with pranked by Cole's gang.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
That could be
we
funny.
didn't really see a lot of their like what they did in terms of pranks.
We just
in
see
the
it one
book.
time when they prank Quentin.
Yeah.
Or
in
you're
the
saying
film.
in the book, sorry.
Yeah, in the book, like we just know they did prank videos, but we don't actually like see the effects of it.
It's honestly in the book that they're kind of just internet personalities. Like when Cole's at the reservoir, they're not doing a prank.
They're just live streaming it on
Instagram.
Instagram.
They're just talking on the internet,
I do.
which is harmless. Well,
Yeah.
is it harmless?
mm.
Some people shouldn't do that.
Some people
I need everyone to
shouldn't
reflect
own
within.
podcast mics.
Some people.
Some men shouldn't own podcast mics.
All the comments are like, you guys should know.
Literally, we just walked right into that. I do want to point out at that opening scene, I think they say something along the likes. Janet's like, I'm gonna make this into a GIF and then tweet it. And I was just like, this is
That's true.
such a millennial writing a Gen Z character. I thought it was really funny.
I'm gonna make this into a GIF and then you know what? I do kind of
And then tweet it, yeah. Okay, so this next question, remove the violence, remove any of that involved.
Yeah.
Would you rather party at the reservoir or party at Tillerson's barn?
Book or movie for the party.
This would have to be the book because they don't go to a reservoir.
No, I know, but like for the party at Tiller's.
Let's just do book.
Are the events that happen at both of these?
No.
Okay.
No.
Reservoir.
This is just like your local
Reservoir.
and okay. Really? Okay.
Yeah. You do the party?
I think I would do I think the way they describe it in the book seems really fun.
The reservoir seems cool.
I don't know. I would
They
not
sneak
want to
into the
swim in
reservoir.
there. Heck no. I would not want to swim in there. That would
I mean,
creep
it
me
sounds
out.
scary, but I think it'd be fun.
Okay.
If I was in high school.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I was more of a scaredy cat. Fair enough. Well, those are my this versus that's. As I said, I wanted to just briefly talk about the book sequels that exist. Clown in a Cornfield 2, Friendo Lives. This is Quinn at college. And yeah, she's trying to move on from the events of her life. She's in Philly at this point. But then friendos start appearing again.
That's so unfortunate.
I know, it sucks. It's really sucky.
It shouldn't be happening.
And so this is another commentary kind of book. Basically, people online don't believe that the Friendo massacre happened. They think that Quinn and Cole and Rust made it all up. And there's like conspiracy theories and all this. So people online are being brainwashed and they start going after these kids. It's a mix of like people believing the Friendo ideology and also people thinking that they made it up. So it's like a clash of like these people joining forces but not having the same message. Like, I don't know if that makes sense. So that is that. And so she gets attacked at college, which leads her to go back home.
I thought she went to college in Philly.
She did. She ended up going back home
to
like
Kettle Springs?
Yeah, her home is Kettle Springs. Her dad's there as the mayor. And she has to face the past. I forgot
her dad is the mayor.
He decided to stay there. Cole and Rust are also there. They're trying to rebuild the town, putting money back into it. Cole starts kind of seeing this new guy in town.
Wait, drama? I thought he was dating Rust.
He is, but he likes
Rust?
the attention that this new guy is giving him.
Okay, got it.
This new guy is also rich. Yeah, he and his family moved to town to basically set up a haunt at the Tillerson house.
A haunt?
Mm-hmm.
What's a haunt?
Like, think Halloween Horror Nights or something. People going through mazes and stuff. People dressed as clowns, scaring people. Those are some plot points of this book. I really enjoy this one. I like the friendship and the interesting dynamics between Cole, Rust, and Quinn. We get more of their dynamics in this. Quinn is also a badass in this one. She had been training with Rust on defensive strategies, so she's much more like able to handle herself in these scary situations.
What do you think the commentary on that is? Because there is this whole thing about Quinn being like, I won't touch a gun, I don't want to use a gun, I don't want to use a gun. Then guns, obviously, as I've talked about extensively on this episode, wind up saving her life. And it's ultimately her character arc has her deciding that guns are good.
I think it's complicated, but makes sense for the events that she has to go through.
If you look at it on a surface level sense, it's like, yeah, obviously that's the only outcome.
Yeah, I mean, I when she goes to school, she takes that baton thing that she gets at the end of the film.
Nice.
I don't know what's right or wrong. I think it just makes sense for what she goes through. Clown in a Cornfield 3, The Church of Friendo, my least favorite in the series. A very underwhelming end to the trilogy. Basically, with what happens at the end of Clown in a Cornfield 2, Quinn is off. She is hunting down the people who attacked her town from the previous one.
Quinn's on the
She's on the aggressor? Yeah, she's on the offensive.
Oh.
She leaves school. She's going on this journey by herself, which is my big issue because Cole and Rust are only in like one chapter. It sucked. She ends up on her journey discovering a cult who they're like kind of Amish vibes. Like they live off the land and the whole time you're thinking like this is set in the past, but it's actually a society made recently and they follow the Friendo ideology. That's as much as I remember from this book, unfortunately, as I was writing down these notes.
Like that's the kind of imagery I would think of when I hear Clown in a Cornfield.
Oh, really? Like a cult? Like an actual cult?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was excited. I was like, ooh, a cult. Like I love cult stories. And I think my biggest issue was like I wanted more Cole and Rust involved. So yeah, that. Oh, and Janet's mom is also present too, which is interesting. The cult kind of takes her in.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about Janet's mom that much, but she actually is a character in the book.
Yeah, she's like
who kind of matters.
She was involved in the parade. She was on the float.
Famously, she is involved with the town in a government way, isn't she? She like matters. Jen loosely talks about like her mom and like her mom being upset that she's been made to look bad. Like, you know what I'm talking about? There's like a thing there.
Yeah, there's something where she's kind of like higher up in the town, I would say. But I can't remember what that was exactly. But yeah, she makes an appearance in this one.
Cool.
And yeah, that's all I have to say about the trilogy. I'm interested to see where the fourth one picks up. I don't remember how this one ends, but I made me think.
Not out yet?
The fourth one, he's working on it.
All right.
Anyway, that's Clown in a Cornfield. I've been so excited to talk about this. Next episode, we're going to be starting our series on The Ring. Ooh. So make sure to read the book, watch the Japanese 1998 film, watch the American remake, and yeah, follow us on @DreadfulDigestPod on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all the things, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. All right, bye.
Bye.